y'all, it's me, Amanda, and I just wanted to go over the books that I read in May. I read 3 books, breaking the record there. I've been typically reading only 2 books a month, but I did 3 this time. I also have Moody here, my cat. He's a terrible cat, but I still love him. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. I got him hiding behind me. We'll see if I can reach him. So I started off reading this book called Spinning Starlight by, what was it? R.C. Lewis. It says right on the top. This one is a YA, like, sci-fi novel, and it's based on the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, The Wild Swans, which is one I don't know. And you know what? I should have read it and researched right before this video. Alas, I only have so much time. It centers around a girl named Liddy who has 8 older brothers, and all of a sudden they all go missing, and then she finds out that this, like, whole bunch of, it's like a SWAT team basically, goes to her house. She escapes, finds out someone close to her has betrayed her, and this person puts something in her throat so if Liddy talks, it will kill her brothers. And then she goes through a portal and gets transferred and goes to another planet and has to figure out what to do, how to communicate. Because one of the big things about this book is that she can't talk. This is where it gets really frustrating because in her world, they have phased out writing and they just use voice commands all the time. Man, I nearly threw the book across the room when I read that. I was just like, really? It's kind of dumb. Like, I just don't see why writing would ever be, like, completely, like, why we'd ever completely get rid of writing. It's really a big push. Like, it's just, it's an explanation for why she can't just write messages and explain things, but it is super frustrating. So that's the basic premise. I thought this was fine. It wasn't, like, amazing. It wasn't groundbreaking, but I was entertained. It wasn't bad. I already forget the name of the male love interest, but he's a very nice guy. He's really boring. It's funny. I have an appreciation for actually nice guy love interests because how many of them end up being, like, dark, mysterious jerks? Not into it. But and here's this guy, and he's actually a nice guy, but he is really boring. Like, gotta be real, he's boring. Nevertheless, I was overall entertained by it. My only major complaint being the whole, what the premise is based on. And I know it's kind of a spoiler for me to tell you that, but I think it's kind of important to know, like, going into it. It happens early on in the novel, so I'm really not spoiling that much. Liddy herself is an overall, I liked her. She is a character who you can feel her frustrations and you can see how she tries things, but you can also see how she figures things out. She doesn't suffer as much from the whole, like, I'm an impulsive YA novel girl who's gonna make really poor decisions, based on, like, a feeling. She does do that, of course. Like, what would it be, a YA novel if she didn't do that? But she has there's, like, a legitimate reason behind it, and it actually overall makes sense in my opinion. I don't have, like, a glowing recommendation for it, but I did enjoy it. It certainly wasn't bad. Yeah. I guess I don't have anything else to say about that one. So let's get on to the next book I read, which was, if my Kindle will ever load it, it's Hubby by Jenny Bunting. There's the cover of that one, if I can get it to There we go. And this takes place in her series called Here in Lilyvale. This is the fourth and final book in the series, centering around the two characters, McKenna and Dan. And basically, the premise is they have a secret / sort of forbidden relationship that eventually becomes a secret marriage, which I was a little surprised that she reveals that, because that doesn't happen until like quite a while ways into the book. Do you find out, do they actually get secret married? So just saying. Basically, it's a romance novel, so it centers around their relationship. McKenna is an interesting character because she is not a particularly nice person. This isn't to say she is just plain nasty or anything like that, but again, she's not particularly nice. And Dan is an interesting guy because he has been setting up his other friends throughout this series, and he is an honestly very charismatic, funny guy. So they're an interesting match, and she's actually taller than him, which I think is cute. This is a very steamy book. There are a lot of steamy scenes. I mean, personal preference, I'd honestly would have preferred maybe less steamy scenes, but more steam with less scenes, if that makes sense. But you know what? That's being nitpicky. That's a personal preference sort of a thing. I'm not really complaining, to clarify. I honestly really enjoyed it. I think there's some things I really liked about it. Like, in a lot of these kind of books, you get like a breakup and then they get back together, and you know, the characters have to deal with a lot of stuff, which I appreciate, but there's always a lot of back and forth, and I appreciate that this book did not do that nearly as much. They do have some times when they're a little cold on each other, but not full breakups, which I appreciate. I think it has an interesting balance of internal versus external issues. Like, at first, it's more of an issue of them getting together because of just who they are as people. And then later becomes more and more of an issue of an external issues because of the fact that they've been hiding this relationship and how are people going to react to it. So I liked that balance. And it is fun because it goes through the events that happen in the other novels. And so you get little pieces of the other characters and other perspectives on certain scenes and things that happened. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm a little sad that now it's over. So I am going to have to check out some more of Jenny Bunting's work. I know she's been writing pretty prolifically since she started, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, if you're into romance novels and this is a contemporary romance novel, I highly recommend it. And then the last book I read is The Music of Bees, by Eileen Garvin. Now, this book, I'll tell you a small story. So my kids were taking a dance class, and I had been parking in a parking lot that had this great bookstore. And so I had decided I would go and shop in the bookstore one day after dance class. So finally did it. The kids grabbed a couple of books each, and then I wanted to get a book. Well, they don't have romance novels at this bookstore. I was super disappointed. I was expecting a romance novel section. They don't have it. It's not a huge bookstore. It's understandable. And who knows, maybe they had romance novels like scattered throughout the fiction section, but I didn't search very hard. So I all of a sudden didn't know what to do. And I'm looking for a book. My son's getting impatient and he's getting whiny. Like, why won't you pick something? He wanted to leave. So finally, I just grabbed this book because I like bees. Basic premise of this book is it centers around 3 characters. It centers around Alice, who is a middle-aged woman who, her husband died I won't go into the details on it, but she's a middle-aged widow, and she does beekeeping, so she has a bunch of bees, and she is kind of like a no-nonsense, like, practical person. And then we have Jake, who is a young gentleman, I think he'd be like 18, 19, who, after play fighting somebody on a second-story balcony, he fell off, and he is now in a wheelchair. And he is searching for purpose in his life while living at home with his parents, and his dad is a major jerk, and he needs to figure out what to do. And then we have Harry, who is like 24, was in jail. Why? But he's like super socially awkward and just absolutely adorable, really. But like major social anxiety and has a hard time interacting with people. And these three characters come together, united by the bees. I really, really enjoyed this book. It is super heartwarming. Like, there's just so many cute, sweet things that happen in this. It's very much a found family story, which I love found family stories. I didn't even realize that, except for the little blurb on the bottom. Okay. If you just want something heartwarming that'll make you feel good inside, I highly recommend this book. The only downside is it is a little unbelievable at times, because, like, I love heartwarming, but, like, this one really pushes it in terms of, like, how heartwarming it is. Like, there are certain things fit together really, really well, which can take away some of the believability, in my opinion. However, that didn't bother me that much. It bothered me enough to, like, give it a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but, like, you know, it doesn't... That's... Honestly, I feel like that's me being nitpicky, you know? I really enjoyed it. And like I said, it's a great novel for, like, hey, you just want to relax and read a heartwarming book that'll make you feel good. This is the way to go. I highly recommend it. Like, the characters are great, very lovable. There's some jerks, because you gotta have some jerks, but, like, it just makes good contrast for the goodies. And it's also about bees. What could you not love? So that is finally all of it. I'm currently reading The Admiral's Penniless Bride, which is a romance novel. I'm a good way through it, actually, but I won't talk about that until next month. I hope you're all doing well, and bye!